which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Amarilla. Mrs. Lefever. Here. Mr. McGibbon.
Here.
Mrs. Allen. Here. Mr. Osterby.
Here.
Next is an action item, approval of the agenda. Any discussion?
Mrs. Lefever.
Yes.
Mrs. Amarilla. Yes. Mr. McGibbon.
Yes.
Mrs. Allen. Yes. Mr. Osterby.
Yes. And we have two sets of minutes to approve. First one being the meeting of January 9th.
I move to approve the January 9th summary for regular meeting. I'll second it.
Discussion?
Mrs. Amarilla.
Yes.
Mr. Lefever. Mrs. Lefever. Mr. McGibbon.
Yes.
Mrs. Allen. Yes. Mr. Osterby.
Yes. And that takes us to the special 5-minute meeting we had on January 26th.
I move to approve the January 26th governing board special meeting minutes. I'll second.
Mrs. Lefever.
Yes.
Mrs. Amarilla.
Yes.
Mr. McGibbon.
Yes.
Mrs. Allen. Yes. Mr. Osterby.
And I'm a yes. In case anybody's wondering, Mr. McGibbon is on the phone, so, which still gives us a full board. So, any calls to the public?
No calls to the public? No.
With that, we will move on to the superintendent's report.
All right, good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, parents and students. Thank you for being here. Just some quick updates because Mrs. Cuevas is going to cover a lot in her report in terms of data, so I'm going to just highlight a few things for you. Okay. For starters, well, Ms. Mariani is getting that up. Registration for 2024-2025 school year is up and running, so we need parents to please register your students for next year. We really depend on early registration to help us determine class size, classroom assignments, and allows me to determine how many students we can accept under open enrollment. So the sooner we get those students registered, the better it is for Ms. Evans and for us to make plans for next year. So thank you. We had a New Year's staff kickoff, and we had a little motivation and humor to kick off the new year with our Colt staff. We had James Palacios, who's the Dean of Dual Enrollment and High School Programs at Pima College, come and address our Colts. And they were good sports. I redid the words to the 12 days of Christmas to the 12 weeks before testing for teachers. So there I am in my Go Colts. And all the support staff helped out, so I hope that our teachers who are in the audience can attest to the fact that we had to add a little bit of humor with all the hard work and stress that's coming up with this type of school year and getting our kids and staff through testing. We also talked about what we can personally influence, what strengths we all have to bring to the table. How do you leverage our talents and what are our blind spots really as we analyze data on what are things that we either anticipated or not, and are we aware of any and what we can do to better help our students. So it was a good kickoff. So thank you, Mr. Osterby, for starting this tradition because I believe it's year 3 of our new year kickoff. 3 or 4 years now, so thank you. Next, our student leadership lighthouse team and parent advisory meetings. We really discussed Leader in Me, the character ed program that we have. We asked the students, what do you know about Leader in Me? What do you like about it? What do you want to know? What do you wonder about? And on the poster on the side, you can see where we did like a carousel where the kids were rotating at the posters and writing their ideas. So some of the kids' ideas on what they know about Leader in Me is that it helps with their emotions, helps you to be a leader. helps you to be a better person, promotes more kindness, makes the school better, improves future life, and beginning with the end in mind. So they really were talking a lot about what the habits are and what they're learning, which is nice. We reviewed climate survey results with our parent advisory as well. And we started a book study on the 7 habits of highly effective families with our parent advisory members to align with what the students are learning in the classroom. Okay, we had a Leader in Me ADE site visit. Mr. Mila McCall came to visit. He is the Director of Character Education through the Arizona Department of Education. So as a reminder, ADE provided matching funds for our Leader in Me Character Ed program. Additional funds were provided by a grant opportunity by the Franklin Covey Institute. So we were able to purchase the material and the program at a very minimal cost to our school. Again, it was an opportunity to showcase our students and discuss progress and plan for implementation. We visited classrooms. We walked through the middle school building and we showed him the 3rd grade folders based on the 7 habits. And you can see in the middle there is the time matrix and talking about how we spend our time, right, on things that are either urgent and things that are important. So the kids are really learning some good life skills with the program. And I like to show a video of one of our middle school students. Do we have the sound?
It helps me with everything I can possibly do to make me a better adult in the future. The Leader in Me helps me think clearly. The Leader in Me helps me my school life, my home life, and my social life. With Leader in Me, it helps me with everything I can possibly do to make me a better adult in the future.
So the students were doing a carousel, they were having great conversations, and then Mrs. Cuevas said, you need to come over and listen to them. So of course, once I started recording, they all started to move away and they got a little bit shy, but they were very excited about talking about what they know about Leader in Me. Okay, our job fair and vacancies. So again, thank you, Mr. Nathan and Mrs. Belletti, for attending the U of A job fair. We held our job fair on Saturday, February 3rd. Our vacancies, so if you know anybody or want to recruit anyone, we need a middle school social studies teacher, a maintenance tech, and bus drivers. So as of right now, we're very excited that our staff is all planning to return. We have a retirement in middle school for social studies, so we've been working on retention, and hopefully we can find a social studies teacher sooner than later. CWDL, our new auditors, we had the first audit of 5 years. We changed auditors and we're saving the district a lot of money because we are mandated to have an audit, so it just depends on who we go with. So we did an RFP and selected CWDL. So feedback from the staff was positive and documents analyzed were similar to past audits. So there weren't any major surprises. During the exit interview, the feedback from the auditors was favorable and they are not anticipating any major audit findings. It's apparent that the systems we have put in place have helped in separation of duties and in streamlining responsibilities in all departments in the past 3 years. The audit is still taking place as we continue to send them documents that they are asking for, and everything is random. So they pull like 3 kids and say, let us see their attendance. And they pull other kids, we want to see kids who withdrew and if they were coded correctly. So it's not only an audit of the business department, but it's an audit of how we enroll kids and how we code them. If we say that they're here half a day, did they really leave afternoon or what? I mean, they're that strict on how they look at the documents. So again, final audit results will be shared at a later date. Auditors have until March 31st to finalize, but so far it's good news. Love of Reading Week. Want to thank our Valle Verde Rotary members, parents, and community members for sharing your love of books and importance of literacy with our students. There's some pictures of some of our Rotarians who have come in thus far. We have more coming tomorrow and Thursday to read with our students. Our student Lighthouse Leadership Team students also signed up to read, so there's one of our students reading to another class. A lot of the older students wanted to read in their siblings' classes, which was nice. We had our math and science night last night, so thank you, parents, for coming. You can see pictures there of parents engaged with their kids. Science fair projects, we have a few in the back. And one of my favorites was the 5-second rule. So boys and girls, if you haven't seen it, you can check it out because they tested food from the cafeteria. And so you'll have to see their conclusion and let me know what you think. But they're back there. So we had every single middle school student did a science fair project, which was exciting. Foundation, our Sweet Art Gala was a huge success. We will have our follow-up meeting next week, so we will know more about how well we did in the actual fundraising, but we wanted to highlight some pictures of our staff. Was at a new venue. There was our amazing Colt Jazz Band, did amazing. We have our chamber orchestra. So our kids are just so amazing. If you haven't heard them, they are also going to be performing at Rotary Jazz in the Desert, our jazz band. So they have just come a long way and continue to surprise us every time we hear them. Our governing board members, thank you, all of you, for your support and for your attendance. And we even got Mr. McGibbon there. Thank you, Mr. McGibbon. We also,
All right, it was fun.
we had one of the silent auction items was a visit to the Santa Rita Ranch. So that brought in some money for our foundation. So we're excited about that as well. And I know Mr. McGibbon is super excited about that. And once a Colt, always a Colt. Thank you, Colt alumni. And these are students that have come through Continental. Some are already in college and some are still in high school. But they know how to hustle and increase sales. So we're going to keep inviting them to come back because they sold a lot of raffle tickets. So we're very happy for them. Again, happy Valentine's Day. And on the right there, there's a picture of Mr. Nathan and I because we did have the baby goats come visit preschool, which is also a highlight of February. So we always make it out there to hang out with the goats. So thank you very, very much. And again, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. And that is going to move us to the admin report, starting with our esteemed principal. Commonly known as Ms. Wavis.
Yay. Good evening, everybody. So, what have our Colts been up to? I think Superintendent Rico has shown a lot of things that we've been up to. So we'll just start with some of that. We've been having our nurse sports and troopers been going on many lessons throughout the school based on areas that teachers are asking for. Right here, she was with kindergarten, just doing a quick little mini lesson on the safety when bike riding. So she's showing them helmets and had a little skeleton head and showing them just about the anatomy of and the importance of wearing helmets. And then our 8th grade students were studying marine life, and they had to go to the aquarium in Phoenix. It was very heavy. Have you been out there? It was my first time. It was pretty impressive. I was very impressed with the students. We're also learning a lot of things with they have like instructors there that were teaching them throughout the exhibit. So it was very educational and fun for them. We have our gardening club who's working hard at sprucing up our campus throughout, and they'll be collaborating soon with our middle school gifted students and some other from the community that are going to be working on our greenhouse as well. The 100th day of school. We had the 100th day of school. We had a lot of little 100-year-olds wandering around our campus, and that was also the day of our assembly, celebrating your children and their successes. So we're very proud of them. And then Superintendent Rico already touched on the leader, meaning and be kind work by our students. It was really great to hear them collaborate and really take the lead and take charge of the student advisory meetings and hear them collaborate with one another. And when we leave tonight, it's gonna probably be dark out, but it will be lit a little bit by the peaceful that the 8th graders did last year. And this is a bench that our 8th graders have gifted the school with this year. So it's right outside and heading that way. And we also, as Superintendent Rico mentioned, we did class walkthroughs, observations, and had a lot of reflections, and were able to have our students participate with us and give them, they gave us great feedback and insights. And we've gone into middle of the year map benchmark data. That's our winter district benchmark test. And that's what we're going to go into right now. So this is some of our teachers, what our data room looks like as well. So for MOY, middle of the year, reading data, if you look through here, we can see that we're doing pretty good. This is achievement-wise by grade. So these are students who are at grade level. The blue means they are above grade level. Green is they're proficient. Yellow means that they're partially, so on the cusp of going into the proficient area, or they fall into the partially proficient. And that's the same on every color band. So we've been working really hard at really getting these areas to decrease. And in those day-to-day meetings that we've been having and talking together as a team, the importance of tier 2 interventions, which is those small group interventions for our students so that they can continue to make that growth and not just flatten out and then end up in the partially proficient for the grade levels. So this is for reading growth for all grades. If we just overall, we have achievements. And this here on the top is if students have met their RIT goal. So they might already be at grade level, but we have 28% of students, over 577 students, who are not meeting the projected RIT goal. They might be at grade level, but every time they take a benchmark, they give them like 8 points of a goal or a little more for them to reach. So some of them might be almost on the cusp of that, and that's why we're doing those, wanting to do even more tier 2 interventions with our students, because we're seeing that this is a trend school-wide where our students are pretty much excelling achievement-wise in their grade level, but for their own individual growth goals, so that they keep progressing, is an area we have to work on school-wide.
Mrs. Cuevas, I just want to add that the growth, median, and distribution is based on all the students in the nation that take the NWA assessment. So they're looking at comparing our kids to other students. It's not just our school. That's how they determine growth, right? So, you know, when the state compares us to other third graders in the state, NWA is a nationwide assessment. So that's why they're projecting growth, and the growth is projected in competing with students who are at that level in time. Does that make sense? So it's a median distribution nationally.
So as you can see here, this is a quadrant chart that we can also look at. And it shows us that we have students who are high achievement, low growth. So they're high at achieving and they're reaching grade level goals is where we're seeing a trend happening in our school. And they're on the cusp of being both the high growth and high achievement. So we have some that are outliers where we have, these are some grade levels where they're at low achievement, low growth, or low achievement, high growth. But we've been working the past few years to get all of these kiddos to start getting into this quadrant area. And that's what we're going to continue to work on. So this is middle of the year math data. So just like the reading data, same thing. We're working really hard at making sure that the foundations that are being built will continue into the grade levels as our students progress throughout the years, and also with working on decreasing this and increasing these areas over here in the blue green out. And again, like Mr. Rico just explained, this is what it looks like school-wide, but based off of nationwide outcomes for our school. So we want to get up into those 50s and 60s, and again, this is winter data, so we still have almost a whole semester of work that our students are still learning and being exposed to. And again, the quadrant, as you can see, we're falling here at high growth, or low growth, but high achievement. Okay, so we gotta move these kids at their grade level, but we gotta get them to meet their own individual RIT goals through NWA. And aha moments during our grade level reflection times was that fidelity to the reading curriculum. Our teachers are seeing that extreme fidelity, bell-to-bell work in elementary schools has been successful with student progression and growth. The professional learning communities that we have with our teachers and with our staff for grade level teams regarding modifications and differentiation for the work based off what students need in each subject area, and supporting one another in their efforts to serve all of our students in their achievement goals is something that they are continuously working together at. Needed is what we discussed was help with those tier 2 small group supports K through 8. And that's something that's new for middle school when we talked about small groups. So we've been having those conversations with middle school as well. What do small groups look like? Because that's not something that junior highs are always accustomed to doing, is pulling those small groups and doing the small intervention. But we have discussed school-wide in our data meetings that it's needed to keep having our students make that upwards trajectory of success in reading, writing, math, and science. Possible need for benchmark advanced reading curriculum in 6th grade because we currently have Houghton Mifflin collections for 6th, 7th, and 8th, but the current reading that we're seeing some pretty great success in our elementary school raises the bar. I've talked to some parents who said it seems pretty challenging, but our students are starting to meet where it raises that bar for them, even in kindergarten. If you ever have a chance to want to start just walking through kinder, starting to see the anchor charts that the teachers are doing in the notes with the students, it's a big shift from just 2 years ago. So the work that's being done with our little ones, it's pretty phenomenal, and it's continuing all the way through 5th grade. So we are thinking about possibly talking about the curriculum that's being used in elementary for it to also go up into 6th grade, because that's how far it does go. More study skills and familiarity with online student curriculum dashboards and map state testing dashboards to ease students in class, district, and state testing worries regarding navigation and functionality of those online programs. And data digs for grade level in mathematics are taking place this week, and they're also working on the data wall. But one thing I do want to mention is in education, it's very hard because we are mandated to do state testing in public schools. So we know that it can create anxiety and nerves, especially in our little ones, and there are high demands from the state to have us do these tests. So in doing so, we want to ease our students' minds as much as possible and prepare them, because a lot of things have shifted curriculum-wise and testing-wise to technology, to everything online. So on top of the stresses of our students already having to, their learning standards and their tiered standards, so they're prepared for each grade level, and we really prepare them for high school and beyond. We're really noticing that we really have to be giving them more exposure to some of these dashboards. Some of you see, when they're working on IXL at home, or they're trying to do math homework on their own math on their laptop, the navigations and the tools are different. They're different from the things that we are used to, and I can say that too because I'm a parent as well here at Continental, and I'm seeing the same things that all of you are seeing, and I know it's not this type of math we are used to doing, so our little ones come home and we're trying to help them, they're like, that's not what the teacher said how to do it, and it becomes really stressful. So we want school to be fun, and our teachers are doing an amazing job at that, but then we always have to think about the mandates that are put on our teachers and our students and our staff based off of what we have to do for state rules and mandates. So we really want to make sure that our students, when they do have to do these benchmark tests and the state tests, that they're as comfortable as possible, and it's like second nature on how to navigate new classes. And then talking about testing, we just finished benchmark testing, which is the data we went over, and for our students who are English language learners, Mrs. Davo is finishing up the Della Spring assessment testing window. We had our 8th graders as the national test that happens. We don't get scores for it, but we get chosen every so many years, so our 8th graders just did some tests for NAEP testing on February 8th last week. And then we have some of our special education students who are taking a multi-state alternate assessment. And these are all state mandated tests that we have to do annually. AZ side, that's for 5th and 8th graders. We're going to be doing that in March, towards the end of March. And the AASA window, that is for reading, math, writing. That's April 1st to April 26th, and that's 3rd through 8th grade. And there's a lot that's put on especially 3rd graders, so that's a move on when reading program through the state. So they're gearing up for having to take that test. And then we have PSAT. Our students are going to be going to Walden Grove. It's optional, and many of our students have signed up already with our middle school counselor. So we will be transporting them to Walden Grove on April 8th to take the PSAT. And if any of you are interested, please let us know. You can call our office or get in contact with our school counselor, but we'll help facilitate that. That's $14. But don't let the fee keep you from doing that if you want to sign up your 8th graders to take the PSAT. And then we have our end of the year district benchmark testing, April 29th through May 10th. So there's a lot of testing that goes on. And we thank you for your support and all of that. And what lies behind us and what lies before us, our timing matters compared to what lies within us. And this is something the Generation Network Schools team that came and walked through with us went over. And it was something that we talked about with each of our teams and our day-to-days. Just that it's important to really see the strength that lies within our teachers, and we're very proud of the work that they do. I see some of them sitting out here. I'm very proud of all of you. We all are as a team, and we're very proud of all of you students who work very hard each day, and all of you parents who are always staying on them and helping them with the homework, even though it's hard for us too to figure out sometimes. So thank you for all of your hard work, and remember, you know, it's what lies within you that's going to get us through even the most challenging days.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have one more presentation, then we get to you guys. That would be our special education director. From the Spartans.
Mine's short, I promise, like, we'll get you out of here. So I'm Mindy Suarez, I'm the Director of Special Education. Go ahead. Next slide. So this is kind of where we're at with our special education program. I'm so proud of our teachers and our students. Everybody works so incredibly hard every single day. Our October 1 data, which is the kind of the big data that we send to the state every year, indicated we had 85 preschool to 8th grade students who received special education services. As of February 9th, records indicate we had 95 students, which means we've had students come into the district, we've identified new students, so we get students in a variety of ways. So our highest categories of eligibility, I get asked this a lot because we are such a small district. Specific learning disabilities, out of all of our students, 34 students, 2nd grade to 8th grade, have this specific category of eligibility. Our second highest population of students are our students with a speech and language impairment. There are 24 students with this as a primary category, so it's what they receive services for only. However, we have to keep in mind that there are many more students that have this as a secondary category of eligibility, which means they have 2 different categories that we work within to support them. And then our third largest category is a developmental delay. This is for students in like preschool to 3rd grade, and we have 17 students. We fall under. So just as you saw the maps, data from Mrs. Cuevas, I broke it down a little bit further for our special education students. A lot of times we look at, the progress that students are making, and for students in special ed, sometimes that progress is different. A lot of times it's different. So I like to focus on what individual students made. So for math, K-8, 58 students made growth within their math test, and 11 students scored at the exact same level, or they were, they lost less than 5 points. For reading, K-8, 47 students made growth within reading, 16 students scored at the same level or lost less than 5 points. And then language usage, only our 2nd to 8th grade students take this particular assessment. 41 students made growth and 13 students scored at the same level or lost less than 5 points. So again, I'm really proud of our students, and I'm really proud of our staff as well, because they work really hard to get these kids exactly what they need. So contributing factors, fidelity to supporting the classroom reading and math curriculum. This year we have implemented supplemental curriculum specific for special education. So this just opens up many more opportunities for students to learn skills. Building student efficacy, especially in the middle school. A lot of times our middle schoolers don't like to ask for help because they don't. So really building their self-advocacy skills has been a very large goal of our middle school teachers specifically. Bridging needed foundational skills with the curriculum. And even though we have a new supplemental curriculum that all students have access to, sometimes it's just really working on those foundation skills to support students. Growth steps will include continuing to work on all of the above mentioned contributing factors, and we will continue to identify students who lost more than 5 points growth and find out the reason why. Because if we don't know why, we can't fix it, and we can't fix it to make it better. If we're not just, there really supporting our kiddos. So that's all I got for you. I told you I'd keep it short.
Thank you. And now it's time for our special recognition. We will start off with the Colts of the Month.
All right, if you could have our amazing Felix, Jane Lewis certificate, and start to line up. Over here, we'll line you up. Preschool all the way to middle school.
The shortest to tallest. Okay, come on over. We're gonna line up here. Good job, good job. Or my grades are. Okay. Ready? I'm so shy.
And then parents, please feel free to come up and record and take pictures. And then you'll head over there with them if you want to meet them to help them pick out their shirt size, and there's some other goodie certificates for them. Okay? You ready? Right. So, Mrs. Tessel writes, Carlos is a wonderful student and continues to grow. Carlos supports his friends and is growing as an individual. Congratulations, Carlos.
My name is Elaine.
Elaine is always helping others. She makes sure that the teacher and students are being safe and responsible. She's grown so much this school year and is kind and generous to others. Congratulations, Elaine, Ms. Wilcox. Ava is one of the sweetest girls I know. Ava has gone out of her way countless times to help others on the playground and in the classroom. She's kind, human in every sense. I'm so lucky to get to learn with you and watch you grow this year. I'm so proud of you, Mrs. Fallsbury. Congratulations. Jesse is an exceptional student. He goes out of his way to help me with his peers. Every time we're in need of help or assistance, Jesse appears out of nowhere to lend a helping hand. He loves to work on his assignments and never complains, follows all of the safety rules, and is a great friend to many students in class. He's my most improved student so far. He's ready to learn and work hard to improve in all subjects. I love teaching Jesse and having him in our class. Yes, gracias. Congratulations. Talk about an amazing, outgoing, loving, hardworking, funny, and safe young lady. Olivia comes into class with a huge smile on her face. She works so hard and makes sure to participate in class. I love that she challenges herself with doing her work. I've seen so much growth in Olivia, and she's grown so much confidence. She's kind to the other students and adults. She sets a great example of being safe inside and out of the classroom. Thank you for being so amazing, Olivia. You rock. Miss Mills. Georgia has earned Colt of the Month for her fabulous attitude, respect for others, and her dedication to her learning. She's a great friend who's always including others and making them feel good about themselves. Georgia always communicates calmly and is respectful to others. Our second grade class doesn't just like Georgia, we love her. Keep up the great work. Mrs. Novato, congratulations. Ethan is always willing to help his friends out as well as his teacher. He's always ready to learn and sits quietly and nicely until directions are given. Ethan is kind to all of his classmates every day and loves to make them smile. This is Nolan. Congratulations. Layla is a wonderful student full of smiles and always so positive. She's kind to all her classmates, staff, and anyone who is around her. Layla stays safe on campus and is ready to help others when needed. Her care for others shows through her form of action. She's done incredible in all subjects and grown so much academically. I'm super proud of her, for she has amazing potential, and I know she'll do amazing in all she puts her heart into. Great job, Layla. Mrs. Hoff.
My name is Adam.
Adeline comes to school every day with a smile on her face and a positive attitude. She's caring and compassionate to each of her peers and helps whenever one of them is in need. She shows responsibility by completing her classroom job each day without reminders. Adeline always follows our school and classroom rules, and she encourages others to do the same. Congratulations, Adeline. Mr. Blake. Max is a wonderful and extremely respectful teacher. He's kind to everyone around him and tries his best when he's class. He works well independently and in group settings. Max is always aware of his surroundings and tries to complete work in a timely manner. Congratulations, Max. Kind, caring, compassionate, giving, understanding, these are just some of the wonderful qualities my January Quote of the Month Joycey displays on a daily basis. Joycey really has a heart of gold and shows empathy to others. She asked to sit next to a particular student who needed guidance and direction and has been a blessing to him. Then, moving desks around after our holiday break, she asked to sit next to the student again. I was so proud and moved by her offering. He now asks every day to give Joycey a starburst in gratitude for her friendship. It is a really beautiful thing to see. Joycey, keep being a positive light to others and noticing who needs a little more attention because you are the perfect friend. Love, Mrs. Flowers. My name is James is a new student who quickly embraced our culture. James's kindness towards his peers and his willingness to help is unwavering. He's a bright student who has the ability to think outside the box. He will change our future. I'm honored to be able to have a small part in assisting in your academic development. Congratulations, James, Ms. House. Ava demonstrates day in and day out what being a continental gold truly is. She always has a kind spirit and radiates that to her peers. Ava is a model student who is safe and responsible. She exemplifies these characteristics and can always be counted on to do the right thing when it comes to classroom expectations. In any capacity, Ava can be counted on to be kind, safe, and responsible. Others should strive to be more like her. Congratulations, Mrs. English.
My name is Tyler.
And this is from all of the middle school teachers. They get together to nominate, so we nominate. Tyler is a wonderful kid to have in class. He's super responsible with his studies and can always be counted on to be kind and safe. Tyler is well respected by his peers and the staff. Congratulations, Tyler, middle school teacher.
All three of his matches. Good job, Tyler.
So with that, there are 2 employees of the month. Motion.
If we could have our quotes of the month students come up and line up here, we'll present these awards. And if you can bring their certificate.
Oh, and there's picture time. You can come on up here.
Yeah.
Parents, if you want to get pictures, you can get them now, or we'll have time after the other presentation goes up.
I'm just curious.
All right, so our Golden Horseshoe Award is our Employee of the Month, and our Employees of the Month are nominated by their colleagues here one day. So our first Employee of the Month is Miss Gail cottages. The kids call her Miss Gail.
You're like kids.
Got you. And Miss Gail, this is what your colleagues have submitted in writing. Oh, Miss Gail is such a gem. She always walks around campus with a smile on her face. She adores the kids she works with and is such a trooper for taking on more hours helping out in the aftercare program. Mrs. Gail can always be counted on. She's always here for us as a full staff and is beloved by our students. She always has a smile on her face and brings positivity to our school. She is a phenomenal colleague and we are so lucky to have her on our team. We appreciate all that you do, Mrs. Gail. We're lucky to have you in our school family. And our next employee who is nominated by the staff is our second grade teacher, Miss Jeanette Mills. And your colleagues wrote, Jeanette is a gem of a teacher and a coworker. She has a heart of gold and you can see it when past and present students approach her. She's such a positive person, even through rough times or struggles. She goes out of her way to help others and check in with her team. We are also happy to see her become a first-time mom too. Miss Mills is such an amazing teacher. She loves and cares so much about all of her students and works very hard to help those who are in need. Our school and school community is very lucky to have Miss Mills teaching our students. Thank you for being a Continental Colt, Miss Mills. We love you.
Okay, we also decided, it was recommended by our board to highlight a volunteer certificate of appreciation. So we would like to call up Gary and Ruby Friedman. Come on up. So Mr. Friedman, Gary, he comes to our school and Ruby reads with our third graders. We'll read with the Dogs program, April's Angels. So we really love having Mr. Friedman here. He has volunteered numerous hours in the library. He is also a Rotarian, so he is with me on Thursdays at the Valle Verde Rotary. And he was initial in writing our grant that started our outdoor musical playground. And he is also spearheads the cleaning of the outdoor musical playground on a monthly basis. Very committed to schools and students. He's done work at Sobri and in Samarita. So we are just so blessed to have you as part of our whole family, and we really appreciate your time and your effort that you spend on our students and our staff.
I've got two of them here.
Oh, yeah, who's read with Ruby before? And here, yay, okay. So this is part of a program where kids really feel that they can read to the dogs, they're in a relaxed environment, they like to, that's part of our test-taking strategies on building fluency when they can sit in a calm environment and read with Ruby and with Mr. Friedman. So we really appreciate you both. Okay, thank you. So now we'll post her a picture. Boys and girls want to squeeze in and we'll get Ruby and Gary in. Boys and girls want to squeeze in? There you go. Taller students, you can go in the back. Can you guys scoot in a little? This way. Here we go. Okay, we're good? All right, everybody, Ruby? Ruby wants to see the kids. That's fine. Everybody say Colts.
Oh.
All right. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
So with that, we'll take a couple minute break. Y'all can feel free to stay for the excitement that's following. We have our financial report. Help yourself to some pizza. And hope to see you again.
You sure you want to stay?
We're still watching.
I know, thank you. So I'm gonna try I know.
Yes. All right, with that takes us to the consent agenda. It's a motion item.
I will move to approve the consent agenda.
Any discussion on the consent? I know there's a lot of items on
Sure. Mr. Davis for all the things that.
She's got her nose on that pizza.
Andrew, anything?
No, I was gonna say that about Mr. Davis too.
Thank you. Thank you.
We will relay the message. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lefever?
Yes.
Mrs. Amarilla?
Yes.
Mr. McGivern?
Yes,
Mrs. Allen? Yes. Mr. Osterhage?
Yes. And that takes us to new business. So we're going to suspend a policy and adopt a new one to take its place. In two separate motions.
So we are actually asking to suspend the policy BGB, which requires a second read of new policies, since we have heard from legal in terms of our open enrollment policy. And when we were looking, it was just easier to do it that way than to green line and red line the existing one that was a little bit more redundant than the new one. Sounds good.
I will move to suspend the policy. BGB.
Miss second.
Discussion?
Mrs. Lefever? Yes. Mrs. Amarilla?
Yes.
Mr. McGivern?
yes,
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Osterhage?
Yes. And item B, the new one.
So you'll see the application attached and the policy. So there is the application for open enrollment, and the board has to approve the open enrollment procedures every year. So before you is for us to begin open enrollment for next school year.
I will move to approve the open enrollment determination for 24-25 school year.
I second.
Discussion?
Was there busing added to this application if they need busing?
No, so we had determined that we would wait and see how many students were going to be in need or would request it. And so far, since we haven't opened up the actual application, when we did our showcases, we had 3 families come from Madera Highlands, but they did not express that they would need transportation at this time. But we'll wait and see how many students we get. They were from Rancho.
Okay.
Sorry, not Madera Highlands. Yes.
Mrs. LaFever,
Yes.
Mrs. Amarillas,
Yes.
Mr. McGivern,
Yes.
Mrs. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Alstreet.
Yes. Next is, at the end, we're gonna get a conflict of interest form, which has to be signed every year. It's pretty self-explanatory, but you'll see that when we sign it. That's it. And that takes us to the climate survey, I believe.
Yes, so you have the attachments to the climate surveys, and like I mentioned, we reviewed them with our parent advisory team, our students. We did induct with 159 parents responses, 515 student responses, and 48 staff responses, which is definitely an increase from the last couple of years. I think it did help for us to lessen the questions and to also put it on the QR code to get feedback. One of the things that you notice is everything in the climate survey, they're very positive and favorable. Most of the success was in the 70 to 80s or upper 80s in terms of how well things were going and what people agreed on. One of the things that we are highlighting in the pre-K 1, 82% of the students said that there was name calling and bullying on campus. And in the 2nd through 8th grade, there were 76% name calling and bullying, which we have been working on with our student advisory. Today we did a PBIS positive talk with the students. There were 50-some students that were invited that we challenged to be leaders in the school. And we talked about the power of words and how hurtful words could be and how they could replace to help us get control of the name calling and bullying that's happening in the school. I really think that Leader in Me is going to continue to help us at our Bensville efforts with our Be Kind efforts. Will also help us out. So that's something that you're going to be hearing more of in the future in terms of what we're doing to address that. But overall, we were very pleased with the climate surveys. And I think it's also a testament that we have listened to our parents and we've made a lot of changes and continue to increase communication with parents, to be transparent. In terms of discipline, I think parents are really understanding how we work with students and what our expectations are.
That's good. That's just information.
Just information.
And next is to appoint the student activities treasurer, our business office, Greg Schubert as the student activities director.
I move to appoint Greg Schubert as the student activities treasurer.
I second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. Didn't we assign him this duty after the last audit, but then we have to give it to someone else because of separation of duties?
I think it was what we had to do. He is the one, and every year we have to assign someone to oversee it, but I think the process from the last was, we have that separation now. So we have other people who are accounting the money and turn it into him as a finance person to get it done. So, but that is a good question, and I can clarify and let you know. Yes.
Just to make sure.
To amend it, yes.
Mrs. LaFever,
Yes.
Mrs. Amarillas,
Yes.
Mr. McGivern,
Yeah.
Mrs. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Osterly.
Yes. And I believe Ms. Rico will talk about the financial report.
Yes. So there in front of you, you have our financial report as presented by Mr. Schubert. Any questions or comments after the motion, after the approval?
I move to approve the district financial report.
I'll second.
Any comments, discussion?
Mrs. LaFever,
Yes.
Mrs. Amarillas,
Yes.
Mr. McGivern,
Yeah.
Mrs. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Osterly.
Yes. And with that, that takes us to the board and school events. If you would notice, we said possible quorum, just in case more than two of us attend anything. We're legit to do that.
I do see an error on March 1st. I think it's supposed to read March 2nd for the Jasmine Desert. Jasmine Desert.
March 2nd is Saturday.
The March 2nd is the
This
Saturday.
is,
I don't have a field trip for a Saturday.
Okay, the Jasmine Desert.
no, it's the jazz band.
Yeah, but they're going to Desert Diner Casino.
I'm not sure why it says March 1st through 5th.
Oh, no,
No,
fifth
fifth
grade.
through eighth grade, but
Oh,
the date
okay.
it should be March 2nd.
Yes, so March 2nd
Yeah, March 2nd is Saturday.
is Jazz in the Desert.
Okay, I see
So
it.
we'll make that
That's,
change.
it's right now.
Yes, it's right on the calendar. Thank you. Thank you for catching that.
You've got a field trip on a Saturday.
Not on a Saturday. I don't have anything on a Saturday. I've got one going to the
Well,
casino.
they'll
do now.
get themselves, they'll
You
get
do now.
themselves.
Was the
to
jazz band field trip?
It's
I've
not
got-
a field trip.
I've
They'll
got
get
a,
themselves.
I've got a jazz band to the casino field trip in the middle of the week.
So speaking of possible quorums, at the foundation is we are now, the three of us that were members are now, what do they call it? Non-voting members.
Ex officio.
It's official, so
Mhm.
that's a change. And then if you look at our next meeting, normally would be on March 12th, that's spring break. So that was moved to the following Tuesday on the 19th. So here's a question I have. I'll be in Japan then on the Walnut Grove trip. So if you guys certainly more than capable of going on without me, or you want to bump it to the next week?
What's that, what day is that?
It'd be
Or
the
we
20
talked about either doing it March 5th, the
Oh,
week
right, either
before, the week before,
March 5th?
March 5th. Because March 26th, I think would be too late. Uh-huh.
Yeah, the last week.
Because you vouchers and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Wait, March 5th, I know.
March 5th is the Disney ensemble trip. But we can
As long
still,
as we don't have an early meeting at 5 o'clock, I can make it for 6.
will we have parent advisory on that day? What did you say? No, it'll be a normal
Okay.
meeting time at 6
As long as
o'clock.
it's not a collaboration.
Right,
So 6.
so we'll say March
You
5th.
guys go with the 5th? And with that, any discussion? Laura, start with you.
No, I'm gonna take it. We were gonna Spine Foundation, we together at the gala. That was a nice event. It was, even outside was nice.
It's a great turnout.
It was
yes.
a lot of faces that I had not seen before. A couple of years, it seemed like it was the same exact people, and this year there were a lot of new faces, so yeah, it was nice.
The venue was really nice.
I want somebody to get married and have a party.
I know, we were talking about that.
So we could take out the back, the lawn area.
I'd send them a bill to clean my dirty shoes though. Get your car.
No, I'm just sorry I missed it. My husband doesn't like going to those things, plus we rehearsed it. But it sounded wonderful.
I'm glad you're getting better, though. Glad you're here. We missed you. There'll be plenty of other events and occasions.
So with that, we'll take a break and sign some paperwork. Andrew, thanks for calling in.
Thank you, Drew. Do you have anything to share? Any words of wisdom?
Well, I've never had any words of wisdom. I enjoyed the fundraiser fun. You kept me out today, but it was fun.
I know, once a year. Thank you for coming. Have a good night. Okay, take care.
Roxana.
Bye-bye.
No words of wisdom.
You weren't there.
There's only one. I didn't end it.
Form.